In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. Y'all, it's been a minute, but that's not the purpose of today, okay? The purpose of today is for me to share with you what you need to do if this is your first time fasting, or if you're jumping back into fasting after doing it once or twice before, but now you really want to lock in and make it a lifestyle journey of praying and fasting. Now, before I get into it, some of you all may say, it shouldn't take all of that. You shouldn't have to do all of that to prepare for a fast. Listen, maybe you don't need to do all of that before you prepare for your fast. However, some may need to do this one thing so that they can be empowered and strengthened as they journey into their time of prayer and fasting. And that number one thing that you want to do is research. Now, there's a couple of things that you ought to research. And the first thing is scriptures. You need to understand and read through scriptures that talk about praying and fasting in the Bible. All right. We know Isaiah 58 is a beautiful passage outlining the true meaning and the true blueprint of fasting. Even in Matthew 6, Jesus talks about what fasting is and how not to fast as the hypocrites do. Right? Those who do it to be seen, to be boastful. And even before, a little bit before Matthew 6, it shares how Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights to do his own fasting, right? We can even look at Moses that also did a 40-day and 40-night fast. Esther, who conducted a 3-day fast on behalf of her people. So many examples, right? And pioneers in the faith who have modeled for us this fasting and praying that we should still be doing today. All right. So that's the first thing that you want to do. Research scripture. The second thing that you want to research is sermons and teachings on prayer and fasting. There are plenty to go around. Now, my go-to teachings and sermons on prayer and fasting are by the infamous Dr. Myles Munroe. Y'all, another pioneer, power-packed leader in the faith who has long gone before us. However, his teachings are still circulated all over the web browsing world. So you would think that he's still alive and with us on the earth, but his teachings and his principles and his faith and his level and fight for righteousness still remains. And also his belief in living a fasting and praying lifestyle still stands to this day. So if I were you, I would do some research on Dr. Myles Munroe's teachings and sermons on prayer and fasting. Also, I would recommend Derek Prince, who is another pioneer leader in the faith, who has long gone before us, but his teachings also are still circulated across the web. So check him out too, because he also has some very convicting and strong teachings on prayer and fasting. All right, so the next thing that you want to use as a means of research of prayer and fasting are books and literature on this idea and practice of fasting and praying. Immediately, I can think of Marilyn Hickey. She is the author of the book, The Power of Fasting and Praying, 21 Days That Can Change Your Life. I purchased her book off of Thrift Books some time ago. I want to say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago or so. But she talks about her journey of her own lifestyle of praying and fasting and how the Lord led her to a specific type of fast. And she goes on to share how the Lord led her to fast 1 meal a day for years. Just 1 meal a day. And she could swap them out. She can fast a breakfast. She could fast a dinner. She could fast a lunch. She could fast 24 hours if she wanted to, right? But this was a specific instruction given to her by the Lord that she discerned as she walked with the Lord, that this is the type of fast that she should do. This is the type of sacrifice that she's being led to do. And I will preface While we have those that have conducted 40-day and 40-night fast in scripture and even till this day in society, that may not be a fast that you have been instructed to do. This is why when Jesus says that my sheep hear my voice, the voice of a stranger they don't follow, it's why it's important to tune in to the voice of the Lord, to tune in to truly what he has for you to do and to lock into that. All right. Also, another really powerhouse of a power-packed book is by Rhoda Deal. It is titled The Jericho Fast. And so she walks you through a 7-day Jericho fast journey. It's also scriptural. So check out Marilyn Hickey and also Rhoda Deal, and not only just their books, but also research their story, research them on YouTube and understand their heart for prayer and fasting, because these are the folks that have ministries around fasting and prayer. The next thing that you want to research is not just sermons, not just scripture, but you want to research the scientific nature of what it really looks like and what it means for your body physiologically when you fast, when you go without food consumption, or when you lessen your food consumption for the purpose of seeking Christ and sacrificing this very thing in your life for the time being. So you need to understand what scientifically happens to your body, to your brain, as you're choosing to do this. One of the reasons why you ought to do this is because everybody's body is different. Anyone who is fasting ought to consult their doctor if you have various underlying conditions or if you are dependent on various medications to sustain. So you have to know yourself. You have to use wisdom and discernment on not whether you should fast or not, but the types of fast that you should do. But like I said, I'll get into that in another video. One scientific doctor that I recommend you research is Dr. Pradeep. I also review one of his videos where he talked about why we can't seem to fast. Now, it's not fasting and prayer, but remember, this is the physiological piece of fasting, because fasting is not just unique and exclusive to the Christian faith. It is an ancient practice across all forms of beliefs. And so this is not exclusive to Christ, but what is exclusive to Christ is that we draw near to him in our time of fasting and praying, that we use that as a means of sacrifice to Jesus Christ. But anyway, research Dr. Pradeep. He talks about why we can't seem to stick to a fast. And he talks about one of the reasons that we can't seem to do it is because we're addicted to the sugars, to the carbohydrates, the processed foods. And he doesn't call them foods, he calls them substances. We're addicted to substances that society has called food. So I recommend you to research him, which brings me to my last point. The last thing that you want to do, but certainly not least, is follow the YouTube channel. Follow this page, subscribe, like, comment, follow me on the socials. You will find tips, tricks, and content on how to fast and how to create this as a lifestyle journey for you. Not just a one-time beginning of the year, end of the year. No, we want this to be embedded in our day-to-day and our months and our times of living. So follow the page for more fasting and praying content. And if you are one who is skeptical as to whether modern day Christians even need to fast today, and if fasting is for today, you need to check out this video. I'll link it up one of these corners. Check out the video where I answer the elephant in the room of a question. Do Christians truly need a fast today? So with that being said, stay tuned for upcoming videos and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.